hold on. Is it on 3 or 3, 2, 1?
3. You count down and I'll do it.
3, 2, 1. Totally off.
Not really.
4. Cue the talent. 3. Hey, I said cue the talent. 2 and 1. Attention hobbyists, sports fans, and collectors nationwide and abroad. It's time to get hype. Come on. About the hobby we are all a part of. Live from the Mojo Break Studios, it's Dan and Doug. Come on! So, get hype. Be hype. This is The Hype.
What is going down, everybody? It's time for another episode of The Hype. It's good to be back in San Jose. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to go over the Transcendent party, which we were lucky enough to attend. We're also going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about a little AROD. We're also going to talk about Nick Foles. I've got a little segment called Doug's Notes, which I think you guys will appreciate, which will lead us into Q&A. So if you pick anything out of my notes you'd like to further discuss, we will talk about it at the end of the show. This is episode number 30, paying homage to Nolan Ryan. Dan, what's going on? How you doing?
What's going on? I'm glad I'm back in the Bay and not in cold Atlanta.
Cold Atlanta.
Cold Atlanta.
No doubt.
CoTL?
Woo.
Yep.
So cold. So cold.
It was, man. I don't know where they get that hot crap from because it was nothing.
I think I gotta check out Atlanta in the summertime. Because wintertime it's cold. It was like -7 wind chill. Like we're from California.
Obviously.
That ain't cool. I'm not used to that. I can't get accustomed to that in that quick of a span of time. So
yeah.
But there was a little bit of snow, and we did learn that if there's about a 1/4 inch of ice or snow in Atlanta, the city shuts down.
Yeah, I actually have an image coming up after the Transcendent party about the about some funny
Oh,
airport
okay.
stuff.
Yeah, because
I think where's that blue bar at? Did it get lost in the mix there?
we're out of the blue bar. Actually, the last time we were doing a show was in Atlanta
It was.
around a campfire. It
Was.
wasn't it kind of looked like it.
Kumbaya.
I'm gonna keep it PG this time. I basically dropped all my F-bombs, my allocated F-bombs for the show. I dropped them all last week.
To the point where we have to have a swear jar for Dan now. I mean,
Allocated?
he's
Allocated. I have allocated F-bombs, and
Yeah.
they're gone. I
Yeah.
used them all up.
You got to buy some stuff to combo it up with.
Pretty
but
much.
I want to talk to you guys about Super Bowl squares. We're running Super Bowl square promos with breaks. Go on mojobreak.com. We have certain breaks that have SB attached to it. That'll get you entered in to win a square. Don't ask me how squares work unless you have like an hour, but there is a little how-to on the website on how the square game works. Most of you guys that play Super Bowl squares with your friends, same format. So instead what we're doing is you buy into certain breaks. Not only do you get a chance at getting that 101 shield, but you also have a chance to get into a Super Bowl square contest where you could win a $2,500 gift card, and that's a shopping spree. That is a straight shopping spree. So you could buy all kinds of breaks, all kinds of personal boxes if you wish with that. So you're going to be watching the game anyway. Why not have something to root for? You know, you want that 9-9, at the end of the game so you can get entered in to win that $2,500 gift card. We also have Chronicles NBA that released today. We've got random teams of that. That's the new 17-18 rookie class. You can get in a random at $50. That's 30 hits plus lots of parallels in that one. And then we have limited NFL, C-Rad, which you're going to have to bring up on Panini's website to show a little bit of preview. I wanted to show you guys this limited NFL. Looks pretty amazing. And we're going to go ahead and bring up the gallery. You can see that on PaniniAmerica.net's website. So looks like a lot of nice RPAs, a lot of on-card stuff. They got creative with some of their names. Limited's always been a staple. And I think if I remember correctly, Limited 2012 was one of our favorite products, correct?
Dope.
I love
Love it.
I loved last year's limited.
Yep.
I want to marry it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
on-card RPAs. Look at that.
on-card RPA. And I think there's one RPA per box for limited NFL. So, you know,
I don't know where they got the K and P Ryan, but whatever.
Check these out.
Still
Yeah,
nice.
but they have some nice triples, dual NFL Shield autos, and it's one of those mid-range price points where you can get in. It's really, you know, you're not getting in for a whole lot. You got a chance at hitting, like, you know, some of these awesome cards. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can watch on YouTube or just go to Panini America and look at the previews of some of these limited cards. Always a staple brand of Panini's football products. So always a fun release. So be sure to check that out. We've got randoms. We also have 2 randoms on Friday for limited football that get you into the Super Bowl Square contest. So is that your bobblehead? That's Klay Thompson. That looks like you, doesn't it? He's rocking the Klay Thompson bobblehead here on camera.
That's
Plush doll, not a bobblehead.
That's Conrad.
Oh, that's
That's Conrad. That's Conrad's. That's his bobblehead right there.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Well, so I wanted to get into the Transcendent party that we attended last Tuesday night in Atlanta, cold Atlanta, Georgia, that we were just talking about. So if you haven't heard of this, they had invitations in the Transcendent case. We did one case. We were able to purchase it, one invitation for $3,500, and we purchased another invitation for $3,500. And we got to go and listen to Hank Aaron talk, which it was phenomenal. I didn't think the stories – I didn't really realize being a dum-dum, like the legacy, the legend, the stories that this guy has. And the way he was able to articulate the stories were phenomenal. I really wish I could have spent a couple more hours just asking him questions as a baseball historian myself and just listen about pitching matchups and things like that. It was phenomenal, and Hank Aaron, he did a good job. What did you think about the Hank Aaron sit-down portion of the event, Dan?
Comparing it to last year when we had the Chris Bryant was good. He didn't have a Q&A, but he went from table to table and kind of had a quick discussion with everybody. It was more like a, hey, how you doing? I'm Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are having a good time type of deal. But he went,
Right.
It was like, if you go to a wedding and the wedding party actually comes up to your table and you say congratulations, it was pretty much exactly like that.
That's a good way to put it.
So Chris Bryant was the groom.
Yeah.
Just going around each table, slapping backs, kissing babies.
It was funny. He actually just got married like a week before that, too.
Yeah,
so he's probably used to it.
So we had like a pretty good walkthrough. His
Yeah.
marriage was the walkthrough for the Transcendent party. It was the dress rehearsal.
Except, he probably didn't have a whole lot of fat, sweaty white guys at his wedding compared to the Transcendent event. But and there was probably a few more women.
Speak for yourself. It was.
I am.
It was. Come on, man.
I am speaking for myself. So, but yeah, no, Chris Bryant was phenomenal. But the stories that Hank Aaron has at 83, you know what I'm saying? It was pretty phenomenal.
He had some good stories. I like how, and I think we talked about it on. I think we talked about it on the last podcast. It's a little blurry, not 100% sure what we went over. Actually, did not even get a chance to listen to it back, so I have no idea. But
It's a good listen, guys.
it's
Go
good.
listen to it.
Is it a good listen? Woo. I think that show was brought to you by Kettle One Vodka.
I think it was, at least for me and you.
But what was I saying? I was saying what was I saying? I was
You were talking about how Hank Aaron compared to Chris Bryant, but I think we're kind of about to go into some of the stories that Hank Aaron was talking about.
Oh yeah. I was getting back to the money thing. He kept on bringing up money in his day and in today's players, and he kept on saying how he doesn't fault the players. The players should make as much money as they do now and today, and how much they made in his day. Kept on saying he wasn't bitter, but he wouldn't bring it. Who would bring it up that much if they were not bitter about it?
Yeah.
But he still. I mean, he does well. I think he's on the Braves payroll.
He has the Hank Aaron Award event. I'm sure that's not free. He gets paid for that. But let's face it. I mean, related to us, if they're 30 years from now, group breakers are making ridiculous amounts of money. I'm probably going to be like the old get off my lawn like he was. I mean, and that relates to any job, right? If you're a doctor and you made pennies in the 20s, and now these guys are making millions of dollars, you might be a little bitter because you're like, I worked my ass off and I barely had one car, and now you guys have four cars.
But it was also a different time.
It was.
Baseball wasn't back in like the 50s and 60s was not generating the revenue it does today. So there wasn't like big TV contracts for each team. merchandising, all that stuff just really wasn't part of it. So it was just a completely different game.
Yeah, and he tried to relate it to, and we have the full audio on the last podcast after you listen to some drunk assholes talk about some stuff for about an hour and a half. You fast forward to the end, there's actually some Hank Aaron audio, which was recorded from my phone, so it might not be the best audio, but you can listen to what he talked about. And he related it to, he never struck out more than 100 times in a season. I was going to say career, that would be phenomenal. 100 times in a season. So he's trying to say, like, these guys strike out 200, 300 times now, and he's like, they don't have as much motivation. He said he would strike out, he'd go, strike out 3 times in a game, and he would go home and he would literally, like, learn, and study and try to get better, hold the bat differently. And he's like, these guys don't have any incentive to do that anymore because they go home and they have a Lamborghini and they have $200 million. So even if their team goes 62-100, they can go party with the ladies and not really worry about it as much as it used to.
In today's game, how as a professional hitter, how do you get paid? How are you going to get that big contract? You're going to get a guy who gets 200 hits in a season, really good. Is he going to get paid just as much as a guy who hits 50 home runs when they're free agents? No,
not at all.
No.
But you even can fast forward to the guys that are getting $6 million signing bonuses out of high school. They could just be like, YOLO, I'm done. I only wanted was $6 million. I live in a place where my house is $40,000 and I got $6 million. I can retire. I don't even have to play baseball now. So you have that motivation coming out of high school.
What's his name? The guy who just made a comeback. Bush. Oh man, he was.
I know who you're talking about, but anybody in the chat knows what we're talking about here.
I want to say, was it Michael Bush?
Could have been.
He was drafted by the Padres. He ended up with the Rangers in their postseason, not last year, but the year before. And he was first overall pick. Actually, went down in history before he made a comeback with the Rangers. Went back in history. He's like the worst first overall pick ever. Biggest bust.
Yeah.
Went to the Rays. Was in and out of rehab. And that was the same mentality with him. He got signed, got a huge signing bonus, and was like, "Where's my motivation to perform?"
Right.
I'm a 19-year-old kid, and I got like $12 million. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard.
Matt Bush. There we go. Matt Bush.
Matt Bush. Right. I mean, a lot of people are playing for money, and they get
the
money.
It started with an M.
Some people aren't about those accomplishments, so the rings and stuff like that, and stats. They're there to make money, and you can appreciate that, but. Some of the giveaway goodies that were given away at the Transcendent party. So if you're thinking about going next year, it seems to be pretty fruitful. So if you're thinking about it, even though I shouldn't be talking about this because the price is probably going to go up next year, I guess it depends on who they have. But they gave away these packs that all had one-of-ones in them. They were 7 packs in each one of our backpacks. The backpack was really nice. It was a New Era backpack with a hat clip on it, and it had tops embroidered on it. That was really nice. That's where all the goodies were. Everybody got a wristband in correspondent with what case you had, and there was 87 cases, and then they were calling out random prizes for that. But that part of it was kind of like Deal or No Deal, because there was like $5,000 prices, like the $5,000 prizes, like the Chris Bryant Transcendent set was still there from last year, and they had some Saito signed balls that were going for a lot, and then they had 2 Archives postseason boxes. Ooh. So you're sitting there, and they announce it, and you haven't got your prize yet, and everybody gets at least 1 prize.
No whammy.
And you're like, no, not me. And then you're like, they announce a number that's not you, and you're like, yes! You're like, and I was like, I won a Bryce Harper Transcendent auto, and I kind of was like, did I want that or did I not? I don't know how to react. I guess I'm happy I got a Bryce Harper auto. I know that sounds totally entitled there, but you're like, there was bigger prizes on the horizon, so I didn't want to be. The
way they do it kind of sets it up for that, though. They have all the prizes out there on the table, and they're literally picking numbers out of a bag. So you had a lot of fist pumps, like 2 Archives boxes, and you would literally hear the whole room go, yeah. Like it was weird. It was, but it's fun, and that's. I think Topps knew going into that. They know there's prizes that are definitely worth more than others, and I think that kind of added to the experience.
And the next picture I have here kind of shows a picture of the swag bag. Somebody's actually selling the swag bag on eBay. So there's that backpack I was telling you about. Transcendent hat, which I would be wearing right now if I didn't have a ginormous head that I can't wear a hat that's not fitted. So it's actually in the shop right now. Maybe be a giveaway at some point. You had the Aaron Judge set, and then you had like just random cards. There was a Corey Seager card. Here's some of the pictures of the cards from the Aaron Judge set. Man, that guy's got some nice pants.
I was going to say,
Aaron Judge set there. Some
good sweats right there.
Good Nike sweats there, the tech fleeces. Aaron Judge numbered to 87, and there's 87 different cards numbered to 87 going through.
That's what happens when you have a 13-hour delay in a Atlanta airport.
Yep.
So you get Aaron Judge cards up on eBay.
You get them on eBay. Spent like 10 hours on 87 cards. Help pay for the event, and then there is the table at the event of all the other prizes. And there was, like I said, there was some Saito signed balls. There was a box of Definitive. There was 8x10s. It was just like random stuff.
There was a Carlos Correa draft auto.
Chris Bryant draft auto. There was a few signed balls. The artist balls.
Maybe a Miguel Sano draft auto.
Something like that. Yeah. The table prizes last year, I would say, were better than this year. And then they gave away a Ginter. Somebody got a Ginter card, which I believe was one of the 5 or 6 employees from Steel City that were there. One of those guys gets a Ginter card. And that was the last prize. They put everybody's name back in, and they gave away that. So that gentleman will have a Ginter card next year that will all be bummed when we pull his autograph.
And they actually did that as a bonus this year. Last year, that was actually one of the door prizes.
Yes. Yep. That was one of the door prizes.
That's the one I would have wanted.
I know.
That's the one I wanted too. I was like, damn it.
And I got some more pictures of the event. I got a little classic Hank Aaron, Willie Mays photo. From when the good old heyday. There's a picture of the set sealed, and there's a 101 patch card in the set, and it could be from any of the years. And it's a game used patch where it actually hit a home run. It was worn for 2 games. So those ones that are on eBay, I think ours sold for like $250. Somebody got a heck of a deal on it, but. They're numbered 101, and there's a game-used prime patch. But there was a little bit of controversy surrounding some of the cards that come from the event. If you go past this Hank Aaron slide, there was multiple stamped 101s. As you can see here, both those Ben attendees are identical, and they're both stamped 101. I got a Frank Thomas Auto Finest, and it was stamped to 101. So Topps actually came out. They sent an email out with the correct print run on those cards, so they messed up. So somebody basically was supposed to stamp them 1 of 2 or 1 of 3 or 1 of 4, but they loved the 1 of 1 stamp. They had their time with the 1 of 1 stamp. They're like, everything's a 1 of 1, even if it's identical. So I guess I give them a pass because it's an event thing, but that's kind of a big mistake. I mean, there was some big cards that did come out. There was some Judge autos, some Trout autos. Luckily, some of the better ones were actually 101s, but I think there's like 13 of 1 that were actually stamped 101s, but there's 13 of them. So it might be confusing down the line, but it does have the Transcendent stamp on it, so just mind you, if you're buying these later on as Transcendent stamp, it may not actually truly be a 1 of 1. So I'll try to post the I'm sure Ryan from Sports Card Radio has the post up because he probably got the email too, but try to post the actual print ratio up somewhere so that we have it as a history.
Yeah, the funky thing is, if I'm not mistaken, I think those came out of Ryan's pack. So he got 2 Ben attendees.
Yeah.
I also got 2 Kenta Maedas.
Yeah.
That are stamped 101. So it's weird. Like, it seems like they didn't shuffle the packs enough after actually sealing the packs, because and I think you got 2 of the same.
I got the Frank Thomas.
You got two Frank Thomases.
2 Frank Thomases.
So you got 2 Frank Thomases. I got 2 Maedas, and Ryan got 2 Ben attendees.
Yeah, and they were in the same backpack.
And they were in the same backpack.
They literally made them and put 7 in a backpack. Made them and put 7 in a backpack. They weren't even like sorting those around. But like I said, they were free stuff for the party. I mean, it sucks. It was a bad mistake, but we just got to keep in mind if you buy as consumers that those aren't truly 101s. Or they could have maybe put some some color on it to make it a different. I don't know. It does suck, but so yeah, that was the event. It was a fun event. I would say at our buy-in, we did really well. If it's around that cost next year and you're able to book your flight, they cover your hotel room, so you don't have to do that. You'll make out in the fact of the stuff that you get, and whoever they have next year is probably going to be the caliber of a Hank Aaron or a Chris Bryant. So you get to do photo ops with that. I think we get a Topps Now card that's going to come in the mail with Hank Aaron. So it was cool. It was definitely, done well. I wanted to ask you, what did you think? The real question was, what did you think of the food?
I actually, when you say we did well, I'm going to say we broke even.
We probably broke even.
Based on the fact that we missed 1 flight.
Mm-hmm.
and then we had to book another flight at $1,600 to get home. So we basically broke even. I guess that's our fault. We could have got to the airport 7 hours ahead of time to get through the TSA line, but we just didn't know.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the food? You want to talk about the food?
Let's talk about the food.
Talking sports cars. Now we're talking food.
Why not? Some people are probably about to eat dinner. They want to hear about food.
All right. The food last year was better.
Yes.
It was like I think you only had two options. I think it was like a fish or steak.
Yeah.
And the steak was phenomenal. It was like a filet mignon. I liked it a lot better. This year I had the pecan pork loin, and it was good, but it was not as good as the previous year.
Yeah.
What about you? You had the
fried chicken. You It filled me up. It did it.
All right. Was it KFC good?
It wasn't Transcendent party good. It was more like 5-star good.
5-star good, but it was
better than like a Series 1 good.
It was better than Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It was like
even the extra crispy.
I really had high expectations for chicken in Atlanta. And the place across the street was better that we had the night
place
before.
Across the street was really good.
It was legitimate. I think it was Patty Pat's or something something like that.
I'm
probably butchering it, but it was a nice little place right across from the West.
See, there I had a steak. That was good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was good stuff.
There was a prime rib, wasn't it?
Whatever. Prime rib, steak. It was.
We were talking about it was red meat. Yeah, red meat's good. We were talking about our and once again, if you're listening to the podcast, you can't watch a podcast, but if you're listening to the podcast, you're not going to get this picture. But I think this might be actually from the day, and I was looking for myself. So this is an image. That's a TSA line. Now, you're probably looking at the picture like we looked at it when we were there live and going, how is that a line? There was just lines literally all over the Atlanta airport because 75% of their employees didn't show up to work because there was ice on the road and nobody wanted to drive in ice, which I get. I understand. You want to stay safe. But all the people that traveled made it to the airport somehow. So there was some people that were still driving. So literally they would normally have 4 to 6 TSA lines. They had 1. And their TSA lines weren't very fast anyway. So it was 3 to 4 hour wait. We had to book another $1,100 flight. That got delayed. We were on the tarmac getting ready to take off, and they had a mechanical failure on the plane we were on that they had to push it back an hour and a half. Then they needed gas. Then they deplaned us. It was madness. So I hard pass on going to Atlanta ever again.
Yeah. I'm going to go down saying it was a fluke. This picture that you have here is not serving.
It's worse.
It's not serving the chaos. It's not justifying it because this is like just one still picture. There was actually lines all around the whole airport with going into other lines. Like people were getting in lines to get into other lines. Like nobody had any idea where to go. And they probably had, I would say, less than a quarter of their regular staff.
Yeah.
And there was people who were jumping in and started doing TSA that that wasn't even their job.
Right. Same thing with people that were taking bags.
Yeah, they were like learning this new job on the fly. It was absolute chaos. There was about 5 or 6 like news channels there.
Yeah, they're like, look at these assholes.
It was just absolute chaos. I actually was convinced that I now live in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I can't get home.
We might have been.
There's a movie with Tom Hanks where he is like trapped in an airport. And it's like, it has to do with like documentation and stuff like that. But he literally like lives in the airport until they figure it out. We were living that movie.
We were.
I mean, and there was people like, there was also people there. There was like a lot
sadness.
There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of screaming. There was a lot of people sleeping. There was a lot of people who this is where they live now. They moved into the Atlanta airport, and you could see right there by those little bushes and stuff like that. They had little campgrounds set up there.
You couldn't find a seat either. We had to go to the wheelchair area to go ahead and do some work. But enough about complaining about the airport. I did find in other news, in funny airport news. So British Airways charges like $90 per luggage, right, to get out on British Airways, right? This guy, who is my hero, wore all of his clothes to get on the plane so he could avoid the baggage fee. So he got through TSA, but then British Airways kicked him off the plane for wearing all of his clothes because they're like, that's $90. So then he did a big Twitter thing. It's all over Twitter. You can do British Airways, guys with all clothes. You guys probably already heard the story. So then he got on another plane. He booked another flight because he got a refund for the British Airways one. And they kicked him off the plane because they felt like he was a risk because he had already gotten kicked off the British Airways. So he had a bad day, but genius. Wear all your clothes. And then I'm thinking, how many underwears did he wear? Did he not wear any underwear? Did he stack those up too? You know what I'm saying? And the socks. Because, I mean, yeah, you could wear 7 or 8 shirts, but where do you put the underwear at?
How do you get pants on top of pants?
I don't know. That's a good question. Genius right here. My hero. I want to try that next time.
You got that from Friends.
Yeah. I think it's been, Joey. Joey did that as well. All right. So this is rant number 1. Rant number 1, AROD. You guys heard the news on AROD, right?
He just signed with ESPN, right?
Yeah. He is got all the most primetime games on Sunday Night Baseball as the lead announcer.
He's the next best announcer since Tony Romo.
He may be. But this is my problem with baseball. And you guys that are like, oh, God, here comes the Bonds rant again. This guy was suspended for 162 games for steroids not too long ago. And now he is the voice of baseball. Like, he's the voice of baseball now. Like, everybody watches baseball. Sunday Night Baseball is the most televised, most watched event. And this guy did worse than Bonds.
Can you imagine?
So what did he do?
I want to play devil's advocate. Could you imagine Bonds doing a play-by-play or being a color guy? He'd be like, guy would strike out and be like, that guy sucks. Or guy would get a base. He's like, man, he's like, guy would strike somebody out and be like, I could have hit that. He's like, these guys shouldn't even be playing.
Well, Bonds cannot be an announcer. Don't get me wrong. But the point I'm trying to prove here is that if you're voting for the Hall of Fame and you won't accept Bonds into the Hall of Fame because of his clouded past, what makes it okay that this gentleman is the voice of baseball?
AROD's good. He's good at what he does, though. Regardless of his past, he's good. He's recognizable.
Is it because of J-Lo? Did J-Lo make it okay? Go to the next picture. I just found this out. Isn't this kind of was the gleam in her eye back then? Because that's her baby daddy right there. She's like, I'm gonna be with this motherfucker at some point.
I actually, I'm thinking of the movie.
If you're listening to the podcast, there's a picture of Mark Anthony and J-Lo.
I'm thinking of the scene in Office Space, but just reversed. Like, J-Lo, what would you do with $1 million? I do 2 dudes at the same time. A-Rod and Mark Anthony.
Probably happened. But it's just crazy. And I'm not hating A-Rod. I think A-Rod does a phenomenal job, like you said, like Tony Romo, who's my new man crush, at announcing. He does a great job. He has good insights, smart guy. But I'm just saying, is A-Rod a better ass kisser than Barry Bonds? Is that what it is? Is that what it breaks down to? Because people
I think he's more likable.
He's more likable.
I think he's absolutely more likable than Barry Bonds.
And
then you're going to probably go, well, why? I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm like, I want to know these conversations. Does he come in and be like, he's doing an interview. He's like, hey, Hank, I love the hair. I love what you guys are doing here. Like, he just must be like the nicest guy in person ever. Because nobody remembers the fact that he got suspended for steroids, I think twice.
People remember, but didn't he come out and admit what he did was wrong? And didn't he apologize? And he had a press conference about it?
He did.
So there you go. I still say if Bonds would have came out and instead of going through a whole like the whole like, dude, wasn't there a prosecution with Barry Bonds about perjury?
Yeah.
That taxpayers had to pay for.
And his homie stayed in jail the whole time and refused to say anything.
So there's that played out.
Yeah.
Bonds could have came out and stopped everything and went like, you know what? I took steroids. My bad. I did it. Everybody else was doing it. I was just trying to level the playing field. And the perception of Barry Bonds would be completely different, and he would be in the Hall of Fame. But A-Rod came out and said, I'm sorry. He was like, what I did was wrong. I'm sorry.
So if Bonds would have said sorry,
Bonds still to this day is like, I didn't do steroids.
Right. But what if it's like, I know even as Bonds fans, we were doubting that fact that he's telling the truth there. But what if it is? Isn't it innocent until proven guilty? It's because he was a dick, right? Because people didn't like him. So it breaks down to that more people liked AROD or like AROD now than they like Bonds.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Well, that, and I think Bonds coming out and saying sorry would have changed the perception of him. Not to like the AROD degree, because I think AROD is definitely more personable than Barry Bonds.
But baseball is just being 100% hypocritical by having AROD be the voice of baseball. It's 100. So if we're going to do the Hall of Character and not get you in the Hall of Fame based on your stats, if it's not about stats, it's about character, then why is AROD the voice of baseball? And I like AROD. I don't like AROD. I'm just saying. I'm trying to take. Take the point of view.
You would have a hell of an argument here if say in the next like 10 years, McGuire gets in, Sosa gets in, Palmeiro gets in, like all the steroid users get in, and they leave Bonds out. Then you would have a hell of an argument.
Well, you've already got Bagwell in there. You've already got Piazza in there.
but you're saying that Piazza and Bagwell took steroids. They were never linked to steroids.
They were named in Jose's but
Ivan Rodriguez was named in the book, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
I don't think Bagwell and I don't think Piazza were named in that book. And then we can't be taking Jose Canseco's word for anything.
Right. Well, yeah.
The guy,
yeah, he started this whole mess, really. But I'm just saying, and is AROD being the voice of baseball? We can look at it this way. Is that the next step to get these guys in the Hall of Fame?
Because Jose Canseco was a whistleblower, is it Jose Canseco's fault that Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame?
Could be. You could put it on Jose Canseco.
If Juice never came out.
Hey, I was trying to be less Homer. But because I do think AROD does a good job. But to move up that quickly, what is it about AROD? And the fact that he has a clouded past, you think they would wait to give him that kind of a steam job. He pretty much stopped playing baseball. He was right up on MLB Network with Big Papi and all these guys. They're just, doing the thing. Now he's on Fox and ESPN. So everybody loves AROD in the broadcasting game, in the media game. Everybody loves him. But if he was with J-Lo, if he wasn't with J-Lo, would that affect it?
Dude, he's good. He's good, though. Would you rather listen to AROD or Joe Buck?
So Barry Bonds wasn't good at baseball? Saying. This is Barry Bonds rant number 5,000, but
it's a good thing you don't get a vote for the Hall of Fame.
I know.
You're all, how many times could I put Barry on? It's it's Barry in like
and Busta
72 point font.
I asked Hank. I was the one that if you listen to our show at the end, I stood up when there was a Q&A and I asked, and I tried to put it delicately because my heart was beating. I'm asking an 83-year-old legend about another player, and I asked him because I incorporated it into his the swing because they were talking about swings. They were talking about Aaron Judge's swing. They were talking about Stanton's swing. So I was the second one. I'm going to ask a question, and my question was, what do you think about Barry Bonds' swing? And what do you think about Barry Bonds being in the Hall of Fame? Directly to Hank Aaron. He avoided the Hall of Fame question. He actually talked about Bonds' swing got better when he got stronger in a way. So I think in a way he was, how I took it, listening to it later, he was saying that it got better when he took steroids. In a way, that's how I took it. I don't know if he's saying it that way, but you could listen to it on our last podcast at the end of the podcast during the Hank Aaron thing. So I asked him, and he said, as far as the Hall of Fame, he said, time will work itself out, but as far as my opinion, I don't have one on it. So, he was towing the company line. And
he also said he doesn't have a vote, which I actually thought everybody who is in the Hall of Fame, I thought they get a vote.
No, it's writers.
But I thought there was... So, when Joe Morgan came out and said that Bonds shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, which kind of blows my mind because when Bonds was with the Giants, Morgan was actually being employed by the Giants to call games.
Yeah.
So obviously Barry Bonds and Joe Morgan weren't buds.
Right.
They obviously had some beef.
And
together.
rightfully so. He had his own couch. He had his own area in the locker room.
And
somebody in the chat saying he wasn't signing autographs. I've heard multiple stories of him saying no on autographs to kids and stuff like that. Not a great guy. But his stats don't lie.
And it was a recliner. I don't think it was a.
It was a recliner, though.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a couch.
Yeah. It's a tall tale that got bigger as it went along. Reason Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame to replace Morgan. Hey, yeah, I mean, any way possible, is good for me. Let's move on to let's talk some Super Bowl, guys. I mean, I know it's a topic of everybody's conversation. It was a crazy week where I thought the Jags had a chance, but the moment the Jags had, and other news outlets have talked about it, but I wrote it in my phone when it happened so that I could remember to talk about it. When the Jags got the ball with 52 seconds left before halftime, and they had a 7-point lead, 52 seconds left and 2 timeouts, and they chose to kneel the ball and go into half.
Weren't they at their own 30 or 40?
It was a 25, yeah.
Because I could see, because I sat there and thought about it. After you brought that up, I'm all, good point. And I'm like, where were they on the field? And then I think they were at the 25 or 35, their own 25 or 35. I don't see them kneeling it down at that point. If they were at their own 5,
right,
and, they can get a safety or a fumble turns into a touchdown instantly or something like that, I can see kneeling it down if you had terrible field position. But they were...
I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was a touchback, I think.
It was a
touchback.
They're about 50 yards away from being in field goal range.
And if you want to play it safe, Leonard Fournette hasn't had many fumbles this year. You run the ball 3 times with Fournette. Maybe if he gets a first down, then maybe you change your game plan. But if he gets stopped 3 times and you use your timeouts, that's it. You punt it maybe. I don't. Why concede to the Titan, the greatest team of all time, and the Patriots with Belichick and Brady? You need as many points as you can get because that second halftime adjustment is going to come get you.
Why do teams, when they're playing the Patriots and have a lead, pump the brakes and play conservative? Why is that?
I don't know.
Why don't they just keep on doing what they were doing that was working and basically just get them while they're down?
Right. And it's not like the offense of the Jaguars was killing it to the fact where they're like, we're fine going into the second half. We don't need any points. The whole question about the Jaguars was their offense. So you just took the entire confidence out of Blake Bortles and said, we don't think you can get us a first down, and we actually are scared that you might throw a pick 6. So we're gonna kneel down, and we're gonna be happy with our 7-point lead and hope for the best in the second half. Well, the best was you guys just got slaughtered in the second half.
I think they were concerned. Brady just went down and had a drive of like a minute and a half, got a touchdown. I think they were scared that if they didn't kneel the ball down, the Patriots could get the ball back
and score more points
and score another touchdown.
But you can't think that way, right? I mean, you can't think that. They've never been to a Super Bowl, the Jaguars, right? I don't think they have.
No,
I think that was the farthest they've ever gotten.
No, they had been to. I think actually
they had been to one other AFC championship.
I think they had been to
right?
2 other AFC championship games. I think they went to 2 AFC championship games in their first 3 years in existence.
Yeah.
I think so. It could be only 1, but I thought it was 2. It was with Mark Brunell.
Yeah. So, yeah, Vikings almost had a chance at a home game, and now you have Minnesota hosting Boston and actually, the Philadelphia fans.
None of us picked the Vikings to make it, as did most media outlets. They didn't pick the Eagles to make it this far either.
Yeah, they've been literally going to that underdog story.
I think Doug ordered a Nick Foles jersey. He all of a sudden just loves Nick Foles.
Well, if you go to the Nick Foles, we're going to talk about Nick Foles. I was just going over the stats because everybody rags on Nick Foles because Carson Wentz had such a great season, amazing season, amazing second-year campaign. And at the moment he went down, all of a sudden the Eagles are underdogs, right? But they're still the first seed. They still, ran their team around defense, and they had some good role players on offense. Nick Foles, and I know this is in a small sample size, but in 3 games in the playoffs, Nick Foles has a 116 quarterback rating. If you go on, you can Google it yourself. I know that's only 3 games, but if you go on all-time greatest postseason quarterback rating, he would have the best. I know it's only 3 games, but he would have the highest quarterback rating out of any quarterback that's played in 3 games or more. So, and his regular season quarterback rating is 87, which ranks higher than Mariota, Winston. I think it's close with Winston. The guy really isn't getting a lot of credit. And if you look at that, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in 3 playoff games. He lost that one 24-26 against New Orleans, but he went 69% completion rating, 195 yards. He threw 350 yards. So I wouldn't count this guy out of the game. This guy can make plays. He seems like he's not afraid to make plays. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I don't think this is going to be just an easy road to a 6th Super Bowl for Tom Brady, honestly. Which also begs the question, do you buy Nick Foles right now? Because he wins it, who knows? Contenders could be 10 times the amount of them. So I want to see what you guys think about Nick Foles. What do you guys think about Nick Foles? Does he have a shot against Brady? And what is your take, Dan? Well, we'll start with both you guys.
Well, here. Okay, I'm going to do my stone cold lock. I was talking to Doug. I see a repeat similar to last year. I'm gonna bet on the Super Bowl. I'm gonna bet on the first half, and I'm gonna take the Eagles on the money line.
Yeah,
I think the Eagles are gonna have the lead going into half, anywhere from 7 to 10 points.
Yeah, I
think the Patriots come out. Same thing they did essentially against the Atlanta Falcons the previous year. They're going to make adjustments. They're going to end up winning the game by 7 points. It's going to be close. The Eagles are going to have a chance to win the game, but they're not. The Patriots will win. So I'm basically going to take the Patriots second half on the money line, because at that point it's probably going to be better odds. It's probably going to be somewhere in like the plus 130 or 150 if they're down.
Yeah.
What's the odds? Or what did they set it at?
I want to say they are the Patriots. Is it the Patriots minus 7.5?
I'm looking right now
for the full Super Bowl.
Damn,
that's
the
a
full
lot
thing
for a Super Bowl.
Did I just make that up completely? I thought I overheard. That's what it was going to open up at.
The over under is at 48.
I don't like that. That is a magical over-under number. 48, 45.
New England
5.5.
minus
5.5?
5.5. So
wonder if did it ever open? Did it open up at 7.5?
It might have. I mean, you're going to see it change. Vegas has to keep up with the percentages and the odds in order so they don't lose too much money.
How many bets are coming in on what side? Then they adjust it.
Yeah, that's not bad. And what we're showing on the screen for you guys listening to the podcast, recent sales of Nick Foles cards, main ones, obviously when you're a football collector, Contenders and National Treasures are probably 1 and 2 as far as what you want on the autos. RPA for National Treasures, Contenders, rookie ticket, rookie. I said rookie 3 times there. Looks like it sold for around $100 for a 9.5 Foles out of 2012, and his RPA sold for about $444 out of National Treasures. Is there room for growth? Keep in mind, Russell Wilson won his first Super Bowl, and his cards are like $2,000 to $3,000. So if he wins, what do you guys think? How much room for growth could there be on these 2 cards?
I think an NT will be about $1,000, and I think the Contenders will be about $300 to $400. On a side note, that RPA design, sick.
Yeah, it's sexy.
That's a good looking design.
Gets my nipples hard.
So I would just buy. There's some guys you can get cheap in that set.
Yeah, well, you got RG3, Luck, Brandon Whedon. There's some Wilson's in there too. 2012, make a little bit of comeback. We're gonna be doing some 2012 momentum coming up, guys. Really cheap breaks. Chance at Foles, Wilson, Luck, Vets, Legends. Look for that on the schedule soon. Interesting how this plays out. My next question for you guys is, and we talked about this off the air, but I want to get. I'll start with C-Rad because I already kind of know what Dan said. If Foles. Let's just say Foles wins the Super Bowl by a huge victory. Like they win 35-14. What do the Eagles do next year with Foles and Wentz?
You got to start Carson Wentz in. You got to start.
How is that? Is that a serious question?
What's wrong with Foles' stats? I just went over him. He's proven.
I can't find a scenario where they're gonna dump Wentz.
You guys just hate his face.
No, you have a franchise quarterback, the guy who got you there, the guy you basically are building your franchise around, and now you're like,
Foles is the one.
Nick Foles is the one. We had him back in 2012, but let's.
How many playoff games has Carson Wentz won?
He would have won 2 of them.
He would have? How do you know? How do you know he would have?
If you're saying the Eagles are a better team with Nick Foles and Carson Wentz, you're high. You're high.
I'm looking at stats. I look at stats because I like I said, I looked at his face and I like, I don't like Nick Foles. But I looked at his stats, and I'm like, his stats, he was on the Rams.
Nick Foles and Carson Wentz look like the same dude.
They kind of do. One's a little skinnier.
They pretty much look like the same. They're like built in the same plant. They're like, here you go. Here's a quarterback for the Eagles. What if it's the same? They're the same dude.
He has a
It's like saying, see, I like bringing up the Minnesota Vikings. I think that's a way more intriguing conversation. There's no doubt that Nick Foles, if he wins the Super Bowl, he will end up. Why wouldn't you trade him? You can probably get maybe a late first rounder or a second round pick for him. Why wouldn't you do that? I think the Eagles do that. If he is under contract and not a free agent next year, that's what you do. Wentz is your quarterback of the future. There's no doubt about that. The Vikings, what do you do if you're the Vikings and you have Teddy Bridgewater, who's a free agent, Sam Bradford, who's a free agent, Case Keenum, who's a free agent? What do you do if you're the Vikings? Who do you keep?
Battle Royale. You just whoever lasts.
Who do you? I mean, you look at Teddy Bridgewater, and you would love to make him your franchise quarterback, but he's injury prone. You don't know if he's going to come back and be the same quarterback he was before he got hurt. Sam Bradford, injury prone. Do you really want to give Case Keenum $15 million a year to be your franchise quarterback?
No.
So what do you do? Do the Vikings?
But we clearly know that Case Keenum didn't win a Super Bowl.
Do the Vikings?
There's a chance that Foles can win the Super Bowl.
Do the Vikings not sign any of those guys and make an offer for Kirk Cousins?
That's true.
I don't know. I think trying to say that. I mean, are you not just trying to make an argument? Do you seriously think that Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl, and next year in training camp, they're like, Nick Foles, you're our quarterback?
It all depends on that game.
Do you really think that they're going to be like, Nick Foles, we're rolling you, Carson Daly, you're backup?
I know it's the unpopular opinion, but if he wins a Super Bowl,
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. If he wins the Super Bowl, it's to be super awkward for the Eagles. We're starting Wentz. Sorry.
When Doug was it Doug Williams?
Yeah.
When he or Jeff Hostetler went to
I don't think there's an L in there.
Hostetler, whatever. The former Raiders great quarterback. When he took over for Phil Simms and he went to the Super Bowl and they won, they beat the Bills, right? Was he quarterback next year? He wasn't.
I wasn't really
He wasn't
old enough.
It was Phil Simms and
Phil Simms on the Redskins?
Phil Simms on the Giants.
Doug Williams won for the Redskins.
No, but I actually started talking about Doug Williams, and then I just went straight to the Giants because it was a better argument.
Okay.
Doug Williams, who was the quarterback for
Mark Rippon.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure Doug Williams didn't start the following year.
It's a good question. We could pull up the football reference.
I think Mark Rippon was
This may be a bad argument. This may be a bad argument because he was drafted at round 8, but Trent Green for the Rams was known as a savior. Got hurt. They had a guy come from the CFL who wasn't good enough to play in the NFL. Wins the Super Bowl, he's your quarterback next year. Trent Green's gone. It's gone.
Trent Green.
Yeah, Trent Green.
Trent Green was an 8th rounder?
He was.
Did they have 8 rounds?
He had 8 rounds. Yeah, I was hoping for a first rounder so I could use that, but no, he was an 8th rounder. So my argument's pretty much I don't have a whole lot of legs on that one, but I was just saying that's hey, they went with the hot hand. They went with the guy that won the Super Bowl.
You went with the guy because I think Warner was like a 5th rounder. Yeah. So you went with the guy who
But he was drafted by the Chargers. He had played a couple years before he got to the Rams, so he must have put up some stats before he got to the Rams.
Trent Green?
Trent Green. I remember back in those days. I know he was a lot younger.
Trent Green was on the Redskins.
And he had a good season.
He had a really good season. He came in. Somebody got injured. He came in, and he had a really good season, and it was his contract year. So the Rams went out, and he was the number 1 quarterback free agent. Rams signed him. He got hurt in preseason. They brought in Kurt Warner. And I remember Dick Vermeil crying during the press conference when Trent Green got hurt.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
Yeah,
and I mean,
the rest is history.
The rest is history. But that's a tough. That's not. Trent Green is not Phil Simms. Trent Green's not Mark Rippon. Maybe.
Could be the same guy. Never know. All right. Well,
I guess you could make the argument that when Alex Smith got hurt and they brought in Colin Kaepernick.
Right. They stuck with Colin Kaepernick. Who was a third rounder, and Alex Smith was the first overall pick.
Yeah, but I think Niner fans had seen what Alex Smith was capable of doing, and Colin Kaepernick was like buying a really fast like new car, very very shiny.
Yeah,
he could like the car that old reliable like.
Well, here's the thing.
Alex Smith was a nice like Corolla,
the X factor
Honda
there,
Civic.
the X factor there was Harbaugh, because if it was like a Mariucci or somebody that was there that was just towing the company line, they would have went back to Alex Smith. Harbaugh don't give a F about nobody. What he does what he wants to do, and that's why he got fired. But the X factor here is that Doug Peterson has followed Nick Foles around his entire career. He was an offensive coordinator, quality coordinator when Foles was drafted. Foles was also on Kansas City when Peterson was there as well. So he knows him very well. So he could be like, hey, we won the Super Bowl with Foles. I know it's a real long shot. I'm just saying. He wins the Super Bowl, we have a whole other conversation about him and Wentz. But I wanted to jump into this is going to lead us into the Q&A after the NBA talk. So if there's something that you pick out of this, we'll bring it back up and we'll discuss. But it's called Doug's Hobby Notes, and there's no rhyme or reason. It's just me going on tangents about what I've noticed over the last week, and I just jot them down in sentences. And I'm just gonna hit it. I'm gonna talk about it, and this is purely opinion. There may not be, so don't take any of this as fact. This is purely opinion. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started. 17-18 basketball class is really good. 17-18 products from Panini are mediocre. Prism basketball 17-18 really good. 17-18 Prism basketball printing presses are tired. Cavaliers want to do a do-over right now with the trade of Kyrie. Isaiah Thomas looks really small right now, vertically challenged. Can Upper Deck please make 5 NBA products this year, maybe next year? Let's do hashtag Mudga, make Upper Deck great again, which I think somebody else already made that. I stole it from you, so I'm sorry. I don't know who came up with that, but I took it. With monetary metals embedded in cards like Eminence with gold and platinum, how long before we put real cash into cards? 2000 and
Just a folded up C note, huh?
2017 National Treasures football looks good. Clean designs. Deshaun Watson will be the top-selling RPA. Do we have to buy collegiate NT this year to get regular NT? Question mark.
I hope so.
Put your Nick Foles bids in right now. Sell your Nick Foles right now. A Gem 10 Brady Contenders rookie auto recently sold for $85,000. Would you rather have a Tesla or a picture of Tom Brady with his signature on it? Ain't nothing but a Jimmy G thing, baby. No losses in career, I'm going crazy. Season tickets going up, about to pay me. Super Break, still making buyback products. Yet, I haven't seen their owner at any national or any event over the last 2 years.
Boom. Shohei
Ohtani hype will be bigger than the Judge hype in 2018. Shohei Ohtani will be equal to crack cocaine in 2018. The San Francisco Giants are a retirement team for MLB stars. San Francisco Giants have the 2010 All-Star team. I can't wait for Topps 2018 Series 1 baseball. How will Panini do 2018 baseball without autos of Trout, Bryant, Jeter, Harper, and Ichiro? Panini Flawless Baseball will have autos of Ohtani and relics of Mantle in every case. I am digging TriStar Hidden Treasures Platinum Signed Baseballs. They have signatures of Tom Brady on a baseball with his idols on the back, and he wrote Steve Young and Joe Montana. Panini recently changed first off the line to last off the line with releases of Contenders NFL, Flawless Baseball, and NT Baseball. The end of the Cavaliers. And that was the next topic. So that's my hobby notes. If you guys want to pick something out of there, we can talk about it in the Q&A. But I'm going to try to – I probably used all my good stuff now, so I don't know if I'll do it every week. But it's just quick hit stuff that really can't really run on topics. So – but I wanted to talk to you guys about NBA. And this is – now we're back open for discussion here. C-Rad. The Cavaliers 1-5 in the last 6. Isaiah Thomas, like I said in my notes, looks really small. What do you think? Do they keep declining in the East, or do they bounce back?
I don't like to overreact. You know how I am. anytime it's a long NBA season, anytime these things happen, and it seems like it almost feels like ESPN kind of talks about the same thing. It kind of feels like Cavaliers and LeBron James goes through this every January and February-ish, where they're in a slump. They have team meetings. They're yelling at each other. They hate each other. People are going to get fired. People are going to get traded.
Right.
So I'm not going to overreact. I think they're eventually going to put it together. It's obvious that they need help on the defensive end. I keep bringing this up when we're doing the live breaks, too. I say this all the time. But Cavaliers need help on the defensive end because they're not getting it done, man. Giving up 150 points to the OKC Thunder. Like, what are we doing out here?
I know.
Like, do you want that? Even in a regular season game, if you're a championship team, you're not supposed to let a team score 150 points on you, dude.
Right.
Obviously, I feel like they can still get it together. But the way the media paints it, it seems like they're like ultimate dysfunction. So I'm not gonna go crazy. I think they'll get it together, but they definitely need help on the defensive end.
Well, it's funny because I was listening to, I forget which ESPN show, but they were talking about the fact that LeBron usually around this time, around the All-Star break, kind of recruits some guys that he wants to play with him for the rest of the season. And then at the end of the season, he kind of goes, well, the lineups wasn't good. But it was like pretty much the lineups that he put together.
Yep.
So, and it's a weird thing. I mean, how do you feel as a Cavalier fan knowing that, hey, if we don't make it this year, we don't want to LeBron's gone. He's not committing to anything.
Yeah.
So how do you even get anybody over here? That's why they got Isaiah Thomas. Kyrie's like, I'm going to jump ship before it goes down. So, I mean, it's King James's team. He is owner, coach, GM, and superstar. And
Yep.
I don't know, man. I mean, I could see them not being in the finals. I could see them getting ousted somewhere down the line. I mean,
Well, you've always said that you feel this whole season. You said you feel like the Celtics can bump them off, and I think you're still pretty high on the Celtics, right?
I am.
Halfway through the season. So
I think the Cavaliers maybe they should like fall down to the 6th seed so they can rest. Because they got a lot of old mofos on that team, and they ain't going to be ready for a young team like the Celtics or like your guys' Raptors and Wizards that you claim are the top teams. They got they got an old Dwayne Wade. I mean, you've got an old team, and you've got Isaiah Thomas that I don't know if he's ever going to be. He worked in Boston. I mean, he worked when he ran the offense, but I feel like LeBron runs this offense, and they haven't been able to find a way to coexist yet. It may change. I don't know. Yeah, and he's a diva. What do you think, Dan? What do you think about this rumbling about how bad the Cavaliers have been? LeBron James' head not being in the game.
I like LeBron James. He's good at basketball. I'm never going to say anything bad about the Cavaliers. I think the Cavaliers are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're going to lose to the Wizards. And it's going to be a Warriors-Wizards final. That's it.
Are we still live, by the way? I'm spinning over here.
And
yep, we are.
Okay. It's going to be a Cavaliers-Warriors final, you're saying?
no, it's going to be Wizards-Warriors,
Wizards?
dude.
Oh, come on.
Cavaliers are going to lose to the Wizards.
Are you
And
high?
No, yeah, maybe. They did legalize it here. Woo!
Woo!
Stand in line, 35% tax.
35% tax. I have a bigger question. What number is Isaiah Thomas
On the Cavaliers?
on the Cavaliers now? What number is he?
I thought he was 2, but I think we saw a card today that looked like he was
He had
3.
a card that looked like he was 3. And he can't go by IT4 now because he's definitely not 4. So is he 3? Is he 2? Doug said 2. I saw a card today where he's 3. This is the big question.
He's number 3.
He's number 3. Okay.
IT3.
IT3.
So he took a step back in his number. He didn't grow in his number.
I know. It's like Kobe. The reason he did 24 is because he wants to be one better than Jordan. Come on, Isaiah. You can't go backwards. You got to be number 5.
That's right.
Like, he's on one less as good as I used to be.
We got some breaks today, too, guys. We're filling up the Bowman's Best Super Jumbo coming up next. You can see the link in the chat.
But yeah, I mean, the Cavaliers are going to be fine. They're going to go on a streak. They're going to probably win by 15 games in a row. I don't know why everybody's panicking. They're fine. They're definitely a top 3 team in the East, if not the top team in the East.
I think people are panicking because it's not just that they're losing; it's just the way they are losing. It's some pretty bad.
It's bad basketball.
Bad defensive basketball being played by the Cavaliers.
And what makes that? LeBron's still there. What's the difference? Is it really Kyrie?
Yeah.
It's the new lineup. It's the new lineup.
But Kyrie's been hurt so much in the past. that they were still winning games when he was out of the lineup.
Kevin Love's been playing bad too, and I think somebody said Kevin Love's been playing sick, like they're making excuses.
Well. Actually, Kevin Love was playing.
He was playing.
He was having one of his best seasons ever.
So it's Kevin Love's fault
before Isaiah Thomas came back.
So it's Isaiah Thomas's fault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the consensus is the reason why the Cavaliers are not as good this year as they were last year is because they traded Kyrie Irving for Isaiah Thomas.
That's what I'm
I
rolling
think they're not as good this year because they have too many new pieces to add to their core team.
Could it be that they're all 1 year older?
That could be the fact too. But why wouldn't you just double team LeBron? Are you going to have Isaiah Thomas or 45-year-old Dwayne Wade beat you?
How about you just take all the distractions out and you start one guy on the team. You start LeBron James. And he's the only guy out there.
Just 5-on-1?
Against 5 other guys. How about you? And it takes away all the distractions.
There you go. It's a solid game.
And I can guarantee you LeBron James would go to the line at least 35 times in that game.
Well, I wonder if LeBron James is because he didn't really answer the Tyrone Lue getting fired question. Really, he kind of was like, I don't think so, but I'm not sure. Jason Kidd, I don't know. Maybe be the coach of the Cavaliers for the rest of the season. I don't know.
I was surprised Jason Kidd got fired.
Dude.
Or he's gonna bump off Steven Jackson on ESPN. He's gonna jump right ahead of him on the Daily Show there.
I would say if the Cavaliers end up getting a new coach, if Lou gets fired, would it really surprise anybody if they were like, all right, LeBron, you're the coach, you're player coach,
player coach.
Like, I mean, I would say there's probably at least a 15% chance of that happening.
Yeah. Well, we're getting close to the time we're supposed to be live with breaks. I did have a Q&A segment, and I wanted to start this. I know this has been like 3 shows in a row now, so that we're gonna answer this question. This was from some mail going into the mailbag. You mentioned the subject that I submitted for the hype last week in the show, but it was never discussed, unfortunately. My question was, will 2018 be the year of more high-end products, no base cards, only signed cards and a few relics, than the hobby market has ever seen? So we'll start with that. Dan, what's your take?
I think, no. I think it's going to be the same release schedule that we've seen in the previous years. I don't think there may be some new releases that are added that are going to maybe replace certain releases. Are they going to be more high-end? No, there's still a market for set collectors. There's still a market for base cards. We're never going to get away from that. So I don't think there's going to be any more releases that are going to be more for the high-end stuff.
But do you think if they did crank out more releases, they'd probably lean more towards high-end, you would think?
I actually don't think so. I think they would lean more towards the finest price point. Like I think Topps really looks at it, and I think their sweet price point that they like is that $100 to $120
You're right.
a box. I think that's where they like to be. Maybe for them, they look at it and they're like, it's less content that we have to put in there. There's less autographs that we have to get. We can get away with doing a finest box and having 2 autos and basically charging $120 a box, or getting 5 or 6 autos and charging $350 a box or $400 a box. And it's a lot easier just to get the 2 autos than get the 5 autos.
Yeah.
So I think I think Topps would actually, if they were to release any more products, I think it would be in the mid-range. I don't think it would be high-end or low-end.
Well, what about Panini? Do you think, in your opinion, they would release more high-end than low-end?
We're talking about baseball?
Anything. Football, basketball, baseball.
I think Panini would be more inclined to go after the high-end. It's kind of the culture. It's kind of what they're building towards.
Yeah.
They're really going after the higher end product. They have no problem like producing a product that's a $13,000 price point that has 9 cards in it.
Right.
It's sold. They've sold it in the past. They've done Eminence. They've done a handful of other products that are super ultra premium.
Right. That haven't really taken off.
But I think they are more inclined to take the chance and try something like that
Than Topps. Yeah.
than Topps.
What do you think, C-Red? What's your opinion on more high end being released this year as opposed to low end?
I don't see that happen. I agree with Dan. I think it's gonna be pretty much more or less the same thing.
Well, and I think
Same
you'll
release
see that,
schedule.
and I think you'll see that with Chronicles is they were actually trying to go after the parallel market. I think more so. Of course, there's patches and autos in there, but they tried to put those other sets in to try to create value on the low number parallels of those. So they're they're trying to keep it where cards are still collectible without autographs and relics. I think. I
think for the sustainability of this industry, I think you need to have that.
Yeah, I think you do, and I think you need less production overall too, which is hurting basketball initially. I think there's it doesn't matter what rookie class you have, if you have bad products, it's not going to sell. You need to make good products.
But it's everybody speculating that it's a really good rookie class, and we're all putting in ridiculous amounts of pre-orders.
Yeah.
So.
I think there's no doubt it's been a great rookie class.
I mean, if they get pre-orders for 7,000 cases, and you're a company that makes cards, and you already have 700 cases spoken for that you're going to be able to sell, are you going to make 5,000 cases? Why would you? That's that's bad business.
Right.
You have a demand for 7,000. Why would you make 5,000?
Well, that's the problem. It's over-ordered. So, I mean, that's part of the – I mean, this has been going on since we've been breaking. This has obviously went on in the early 90s after Upper Deck and the Griffey thing. So, it's got to be a collectible for it to be worth anything and for people to want it, it's got to be scarce. The last part of his question, and I don't think I have an answer for it, but I will ask, and maybe somebody in the chat, because I haven't done any research on this product. Do you have any news about the new Upper Deck NBA product that is releasing this week, which I don't think it did release this week? Is it only available for consumers who are ordering it directly from Upper Deck? What I heard from a dealer who was at the show was that you have to order $5,000 in Upper Deck authenticated basketball stuff, which is their jerseys of LeBron and Jordan and stuff like that, Simmons, to get boxes. I don't know if you get them for free or you have to order them at that point. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true, but we'll have to do some more research on that to see if that is in fact true. And now Ziggy asked a question, and I'm scrolling back up, and I talked about this in my notes. Will Ohtani be bigger than Judge? My answer to that is initially yes. The hype will be closer to Ichiro. Keep in mind, Judge came out in 2013, and he didn't have much hype besides he was a Yankee, so there was people collecting him. Ohtani is going to have that international market that people are going to be searching for his cards, so he can not take the field, and he'll probably have Bowmans that sell higher than Judge, just based on hype. Now, he's got to perform, and there's been guys that have came like Dice K, like Nomo, that have had good careers, but they never lived up to their hype. You can even say Darvish never lived up to his hype.
But I got to say, out of the gate, Darvish, his stuff was selling through the roof.
He was the number one guy in that year, 2000, and Harper was in that.
That international market for baseball changes the whole outlook of specific product releases. It changes the whole market. It can get crazy. I mean, it can truly get absolutely nuts.
Do you think that they could have an Ohtani Transcendent party next year?
I would expect and again, it really has to do if Ohtani performs.
That'd be a really bad interview.
If Ohtani, I don't think they would have Ohtani come down. But
I
think it'd be an Ohtani set.
Right.
I think the like you had Bryant and Judge. I think it'd be Ohtani. But
unless he just sucks.
He has to perform.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that he would have to perform, not have a good year. He couldn't be able to, like, say if he hits 250 and he hits 20 homers or something like that, that's not good enough. He has to win Rookie of the Year.
Right.
If he wins Rookie of the Year, baseball releases this year they're gonna be nuts. They're gonna be crazy.
And I'll ask this last question before we sign off and get into breaking cards to C-Rad. Ziggy also had the question. Thanks for the content today, by the way, buddy. What do you think about Lowry for MVP and card prices? I don't know did you mean MVP or Rookie of the Year?
He probably means Rookie of the Year, right?
I'm assuming. So let's just say Lowry for Rookie of the Year and his card prices currently. What do you think about him?
Rookie of the Year, no. He's not going to win Rookie of the Year. He could definitely make a stronger case for himself if he continues to play at a high level throughout the rest of the season. But he's probably going to, just because his team isn't doing great, I would say he's probably going to be out of the running for Rookie of the Year, even if he's definitely playing at a high level. He's top 3 rookie right now for sure.
Doesn't he have the most 3-pointers this year, I think, overall?
Yeah, he's definitely exceeding everybody's expectations as a rookie.
And he's 7 foot, so he's like this mold of player coming out like Porzingis.
Yeah, he's exactly. I was just about to say that. He's in the same lane as Porzingis, same situation almost as Porzingis, where he had a great rookie season too, Porzingis, but he didn't win Rookie of the Year. Obviously Karl-Anthony Towns won that year. But so I don't think he's gonna win Rookie of the Year. And what was the second part of the question? His card prices. Definitely room to grow for sure.
I mean, I haven't looked at his silvers. I
His
don't know what the
RPAs
silvers.
will be top 5 selling RPA and NT.
I mean,
for sure.
This is kind of a funky year. Do you?
You can buy one for $80.
Does anybody really think that any of this year's rookies are going to win Rookie of the Year
Over Simmons?
That's
a great question.
I think there's almost without a doubt. I would say if I had to put a percentage on it, it's probably like 85%.
Right.
I would say Simmons and
Yeah.
Pending injury.
I would
If
say
Simmons
70% Ben Simmons.
if Simmons doesn't win it, it's probably Tatum, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they should change that. I know Simmons did not play last year, but they should change that rule because he was able to study his team's playbook last year.
Right. It's a little bit harder.
He was able to have an understanding of he
watched the NBA game.
But he was able to sit on the bench. He was able to practice with his teammates. He was able to he understands the game plan that they're trying to do.
Did Blake Griffin win Rookie of the Year?
Blake Griffin won
after a year off.
After a year off,
because Tyreek won
Yep.
the year that he was actually a rookie.
I mean, if you think about it, in the recent history, the 2 rookies that were out for their full year, they came back and they won Rookie of the Year.
Well,
Embiid
was going to win that last year, remember? But he got hurt, so it was Brogdon, which probably should have been Embiid anyway. I mean, let's face it. Now he's a starter as an all-star.
Embiid only played. He played 29 games or something.
29 games,
It's
yeah.
hard to give it to somebody who only played 29
But,
games.
I mean-
I think in the grand scheme of things, I don't mind it too much in the grand scheme of things. I know people want their rookie, like their actual 17, 18 rookie to win, so that it kind of relates to the card market too, because they want, it'll look better for that 17, 18 rookie. But in the grand scheme of things, Rookie of the Year, it only bumps it up a little bit, right? They still got to have a successful long career.
Yep. You look at Brogdon. Nobody wants his cards. Michael Carter-Williams. What Michael Carter-Williams rookie autos are probably selling for like $3.
Actually, since let's talk about the. I know we got to go, but the 13-14 rookie class. There's a guy who made the All-Star team, who no one's talking about. Victor Oladipo made the All-Star team. Having a hell of a year.
Under the radar.
Had a really good rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
Has now bounced around. He's kind of like Isaiah Thomas, where he just cannot stick.
He's on the Pacers now.
He can't stick on a team.
Yeah.
But he's back home. He went to Indiana.
Interesting to look at as an investment, really.
But Victor Oladipo is an all-star.
Yeah.
So he's in the top 20 players in the league.
And your boy Dame Lillard still never an all-star.
No, he made it.
Always a bridesmaid, not a bride.
He made
Did
it.
he make it?
Yeah, he made it.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay. Well, first time. He should have been in there the last couple years.
Every year.
All right, guys. Well, that does it for the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you check out mojobreak.com for any upcoming breaks. We've got limited NFL. It looks really nice releasing Friday. We've got Chronicles NBA today. We're kicking off the day of breaks with our Super Bowman's Best 7-box mixer. Then we get into playoff NFL, which is sold out. It's a Super Bowl square break. But if you want to get in a Super Bowl square break, we have Absolute NFL coming up, and that product's nice. 2017 Absolute. We also have Hockey Today, SP Game Use for cheap, more Chronicles, Court Kings, and the second-to-last case of Mojo Collection popping off tonight as well. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I don't think I'm going to hit my outro because I didn't have it ready, but you guys get the gist, and we will sign off. We'll see you guys again next week on The Hype.
Bam, bam. Thank you for joining on the hype.